Hello students, today I'll be ending the second chapter, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In my previous video I talked about the post-fertilization events, under which I talked about the formation of embryo or embryogeny. Today we'll see the formation of endosperm, formation of fruits, seeds. Let us begin with endosperm. As you all know students, that in an embryo sac, the last central cell after fertilization, it changes into primary endosperm cell that give rise to endosperm. Now, the primary endosperm nucleus or PEN that has arisen from the polar nuclei upon fusion with the male gamete is triploid in nature. Very common question asked. It may be asked in the MCQs also, that what is the ploidy of endosperm tissue? Endosperm tissue is with no doubt triploid in nature. Why triploid? Let me repeat once again. Because the central cell, it had two polar nuclei and one more haploid nucleus came from the male gamete, leading to triploid endosperm nucleus, primary endosperm nucleus. Now, this endosperm has a very important role to play. The endosperm is highly nutritive and is provide nutrition or nourishment to the developing embryo. Because if you remember, the other parts in an embryo sac, they degenerate, the antipodals, the synergids. Only the egg cell survives, that forms the embryo, and the central cell or the polar nuclei, it survives, that forms the endosperm. Endosperm can be of three types: free nuclear endosperm, cellular endosperm, halobial endosperm. In your NCERT, there is only it is mentioned that free nuclear endosperm, where the primary endosperm nucleus divides repeatedly and the division is not immediately followed by cell wall formation. Nucleus is dividing but the cell wall is not forming. That is called free nuclear endosperm. However, at the later stages, this nucleus, they are surrounded by a cell wall and cell wall formation takes place. That is called cellular endosperm. A very important question comes from this section, student. You know that coconut, the tender coconut water, is nothing but composed of large number of thousands of free nuclei, that is called free nuclear endosperm, and the white kernel, the fleshy part, is the cellular endosperm. A very important and a common question asked: the tender coconut water is free nuclear endosperm and the white kernel is the cellular endosperm. About the formation of embryo I have talked about. However, here are the diagrams of two embryos, two mature embryos. One is the embryo of a monocot and other is the embryo of a dicot. The figure A shows the embryo of a dicot plant. As you can see in the figure, that in a dicot there are two cotyledons. It has a plumule that gives rise to the future shoot system. It has a radicle that gives rise to future root system. The radicle has a root cap, and this embryonal axis is a hypocotyl. Below the level of cotyledon is a hypocotyl. There is another term called epicotyl. I will not go into details now. Look at figure number B. Figure number B is an embryo of a monocot plant. Here you can see there is only one cotyledon which is present on the lateral side. The cotyledon has got a special name in case of grass. The cotyledon is known as scutellum. S-C-U-T-E-L-L-U-S. Scutellum. Very important question. Scutellum is often asked in MCQs. It often comes in the NEET exam. Scutellum is a single cotyledon in grass family. Other two terms which you must know, students, very important. One is the scutellum and the other two are, let me highlight this so that you understand. One is the scutellum. One is the scutellum. Let me take a pencil or pen here. The scutellum, you must remember. The other two are coleoptile and coleorhiza. These three terms are very important. Coleoptile is a sheath, as a protective sheath that covers the plumule, the leafy foliages, and the coleorhiza is also a protective sheath that covers the root cap and the radicle. So we got three terms. One is the scutellum, which is a single cotyledon in case of grass family. We got other two terms. One is a coleorhiza, is a sheath that covers the radicle and the root cap, and a coleoptile that covers the shoot apex. Let's come to the seeds. The seeds are the products of fertilization. Seeds may contain endosperm in them, or endosperm may be completely used up by the growing embryo. When the endosperm is completely used up and no residual endosperm is found in seeds, those seeds are called non-albuminous or ex-albuminous seeds. However, in certain seeds like the seeds of wheat, maize, barley, castor, the endosperm, some of the endosperm is retained in the seeds. Such seeds are called albuminous or endospermic seeds. Students, you know that nucellus is a nutritive tissue that surrounds the embryo sac that gives nourishment to the embryo sac. The nucellus may be used up by the embryo sac. However, in some of the seeds, you can find that nucellus is also persistent. Such persistent nucellus is called perisperm. So we have got couple of terms which are quite homonyms. One is perisperm, endosperm. Perisperm is a persistent nucellus. Endosperm is a nutritive material that is formed from the primary endosperm cell and primary endosperm nucleus. Students, the seeds, as they are formed after fertilization, immediately cannot germinate. They need a period of rest. They enter into a period of rest called dormancy. And only when the favorable conditions are available, that is when water, moisture, sunlight are available, they will germinate. Let me talk about fruits. Now, fruits are the products of fertilization. Fruits usually or generally develop from the ovary. After fertilization, ovary turns into fruit, and such fruits are called true fruits. However, there are certain species like apple, like strawberry, like cashew, where the fruit is developed, the edible part, the fruit is developed from parts of plant flower other than the ovary. Here in this case, it is developed from the thalamus. Such fruits are called false fruits. In true fruits, the fruit is developed from ovary. In false fruits, the fruit is not developed from ovary, it is developed from any other floral part. In case of apple, in case of strawberry, in case of cashew, it develops from the thalamus. Let us see the picture here. So here is apple and the strawberry, the fleshy part, the edible part. Next time if you take a bite at an apple, you must obviously know that you are eating the thalamus, not the ovary. You are eating the thalamus, okay? And inside, if you make a section of an apple, transverse or LS, you can find that inside the seeds are covered by a hard covering. That is actually the one locule type structure is that is the ovary, okay? Here I come about a very important term, parthenocarpic fruit. I talked about parthenogenesis. I hope you remember in chapter 1. Parthenogenesis means formation of new individuals without fertilization. New individuals. This is in case of honeybees we talked about, as in case of some turkeys, in some birds like turkeys. And here is a term called parthenocarpy and parthenocarpic fruits. Parthenocarpy is the formation of fruit without fertilization. Very simple to remember. Formation of fruit without fertilization is parthenocarpy or parthenocarpic fruits. Such fruits are parthenocarpic fruits. And formation of new individual without fertilization, that is called parthenogenesis in animals and parthenocarpy in plants. Like banana, I hope in market you will find bananas of two kinds, one having seeds and other having no seeds. The one having no seeds are the parthenocarpic banana. You find grapes, some grapes have seeds, some grapes don't have seeds. The seedless fruits are actually parthenocarpic in nature. So parthenocarpic fruits are seedless. Now seeds provides some advantages. What are the advantages? You can easily write of your own also. The seed contains the reserve food material for the embryo until and unless the embryo the seed germinates and the seedling has its own leaves and photosynthesize. By the timing the seed, the cotyledons or the endosperm, they provide food or nutrition to the embryo. This hard seed coat protects the young embryo. Seeds can be easily dispersed because of the seed coat. So there are some advantages that are provided by the seed to the plants. 1 minute. Now I will talk about two facts. One is about two facts about seeds. The oldest seed to germinate, because I have just said that seeds they require a period of dormancy, period of rest, period of dehydration before they can germinate. So scientists have got some facts, some researchers. In some research they found that seed of the plant Lupinus arcticus, which was excavated from Arctic tundra region, it germinated after 10,000 years. Means for 10,000 years the seed was dormant. There was a baby plant inside the seed which was alive, which was in a state of rest for about 10,000 years. Recently another seed has been found which germinated after 2000 years, and the plant is Phoenix dactylifera. You must remember the two scientific names. One is Lupinus arcticus and the other is Phoenix dactylifera. In the last, I will talk about two important terms. Direct questions come from this section: apomixis and polyembryony. What is apomixis? Now you know that seeds are the products of fertilization, yes, but in certain plants belonging to the family Asteraceae. Asteraceae means the sunflower family, and grasses. Even without fertilization, seeds can be produced. Such such mechanism is called apomixis. The formation of seed without fertilization, apomixis; formation of fruit without fertilization, parthenocarpy; formation of new individuals without fertilization, that is parthenogenesis. So here we got this apomixis. There is another term called polyembryony. Now you know, students, that inside the embryo sac there is one egg cell, and that egg cell after fertilization it forms the embryo. So in one embryo sac there is one egg cell. However, if there are more than one embryo within an embryo sac, that is called polyembryony. More than one embryo. In one embryo sac there is one egg cell. That one egg cell will give rise to one embryo. So from how come there are more than one embryo in an embryo sac? This can happen when the nucellus that surrounds the embryo sac or the integuments that surround the nucellus, they protrude inside the embryo sac, they divide and they form embryo. By the freak of nature, this happens sometimes in some plants. The nucellus cells surrounding the embryo, they protrude inside the embryo sac and they develop into embryos. So remember, those are actually not, the embryos have not developed from the egg cell. Egg cell embryo has formed, the embryo that has occurred from the egg cell is a product of fertilization. But the embryo that has occurred from the nucellus cells, they are not the product of fertilization. And those embryos, they will be cloned. They will be genetically similar to each other because they has formed from the cells, from the somatic cells, not from the reproductive cells. Now there is importance of these apomictic seeds. You know that hybrid seeds has to be produced year after year. The production of hybrid seeds is very expensive. The farmers have to buy these expensive seeds every year. When the hybrid seeds are sown and we get plants, and that plants bear the seeds, and within that seed the hybrid character is not maintained. The hybrid character is not maintained. So those seeds, if the farmer sow them, you will not get that same hybrid variety. That is a problem. This problem can be easily solved if you can make the seeds of the hybrid plants apomictic. because in apomixis seeds are formed without fertilization. When there is fertilization, there will be mixing of characters, the hybrid nature will be lost. But if the seeds are formed without fertilization, then the hybrid character will be maintained. So the farmers won't have to sow the hybrid seeds, won't have to buy the hybrid seeds year after year. So this is the importance of the hybrid seeds in agricultural industry. I hope you have understood. Students, go through the sections, go through the highlighted text, and in case of any confusion, you can directly contact me. Thank you. And in my next class, I will be taking one online quiz test on the entire chapter, chapter number 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plants.